1.
All right, lads, and wiggity welcome to the first instalment of what's been rather affectionately called the Mighty Bosh.
I can't believe you said wiggity what we've just talked about this. Yeah, no,
we just move.
Yeah,
Do you know what? I'm the creative head of this movement.
Yeah,
so
I'm just.
If I want to vibe with it, I want to vibe with it. All right, we're going with it.
You're the creative.
We're going. Do you know? Just shut. All right, whatever. It's not the Mighty Bosh, is it?
No, it's the weekly Bosh.
The weekly Bosh. Do you know what? We're keeping all this in. This is uncut and raw. Yeah. This is the weekly Bosh. This is the weekly Bosh. We're going to be talking about last weekend's Premier League football. We're going to be doing power rankings, and we're going to be previewing this weekend's games, what we think is going to happen. We'll start off looking back. We'll do kind of very, very, very brief reviews of all the fixtures from the weekend just gone, who we think performed well, who we think underperformed. We've each picked out 3 things we want to talk about, 3 things that were good and 3 things that were bad. And then we're going to move on. And the last kind of 10, 15 minutes of this, we'll probably be talking about the weekend coming up and who to look out for, what games we think are the big ones. So obviously, Chelsea-Liverpool's the one that sticks out. Yeah. But there's a couple of others in there that we're interested in watching.
Yeah, and we'll do a little predictions. Why not?
Yeah.
Get involved. Get involved in the comments. We'd all love to see your comments on the socials, and especially on the YouTube channel. We reply to all, and we look at all your comments. So get down there. Do you agree with our power rankings and that sort of thing? So yeah, should we just jump right into it?
Just jump into it.
Yeah.
So the first game we wanted to talk about every game last weekend, didn't we? We wanted to talk about every game.
Should we go through the less important ones first, or do you want to go through the main ones?
I mean, we could go through. Yeah, let's go through the dead ones first.
Planned.
Not dead ones. The uninteresting ones. So we'll start off with
planning.
We'll start off with Crystal Palace and Southampton. I feel like that was the dead weight of the weekend.
It's a rip snorter, that game. I watched it.
I did watch it.
I wish I didn't watch it. That's my indictment of the game.
It was a weak afternoon for both teams. I think the only real story is that Wilf Zaha scored for Palace. That is the only story that's come out of that game.
Yeah, he's trying to get a move, isn't he? He's trying to say, guys, European clubs, look at me. I can score football goals. please take me away from Selhurst Park. No, I'm
please. I want to leave Croydon. No, I think that's it, isn't it? Really, with that game, I think Southampton were pretty dire.
Yeah, they just didn't have that finishing edge. I don't think Danny Ings usually sort of does that for them, but didn't really. Had a couple of good plays actually, and they had a controversial. What was good as well, I will say, is the use of the VAR and going up to the telly that John Moss did.
Yeah.
I think we've disagreed on whether it was a yellow or a red. We were talking on a group chat, and I think I was the only person who thought it actually was a red from who was it? Carl Walker-Peters, wasn't it? On Tyreek Mitchell.
It was.
But that's a conversation for another day. But yeah, happy with the VAR inclusion. Is this sort of the upwards curve of VAR? Are we over the hill with it now? We'll talk about that in another episode.
I hope that they do the TV stuff more.
Yeah, definitely.
That's what I like. That's what I like to see in VAR, because I think that's the way it should be done.
Absolutely.
The referee should be able to make the decisions. I don't see why we need a room at Stockley Park with 4 other guys who are going to make decisions when the referee can look at it himself.
Yeah.
Seems menial.
Dead on.
No. Yeah.
Next one. What are we saying? Saying Sheffield Wolves.
Wolves.
Again, a game that was over in 6 minutes. Raul Jimenez
and Sheffield United, let's be honest, pretty poor on the day.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if Wolves were really good, or if this is just indication of the direction that Sheffield are going in.
Wolves were good for Wolves were very good for the first 10-15 minutes, and then I think Wolves knew they could just ride the game out.
Oh, Nuno does it all the time. He quite happily sits on a game and they don't concede either. Last year, I can't remember the exact stat, but I feel like for the first 60 minutes, I think they barely conceded any goals last year, and that's just the sort of team that Wolves are.
Yeah.
And I think that played into their advantage, 2 early goals, Jimenez and Saiss. Jimenez back on it, he's a big player this year, and I think...
Massive.
is up there for Golden Boot. I don't think that's
definitely
out the realm shout. Next one we got West Brom Leicester, 3-0 Leicester.
Jamie Vards starting off his season strong.
J Vards trying to defend
the Golden Boot, and ultimate shithousery, holding his ears in front of an empty stand.
Brilliant,
which is something that we can only get behind as football fans.
Yeah, love it. And a debut goal from Timothy Castagna, their new signing from Atalanta. It does seem that he's playing in that left back spot that's been vacated by Chilwell. And, you know, it's early doors, but he could definitely... He does look like he's filled in quite nicely. Yeah. And last one, West Ham Newcastle.
This one's a little bit more of a conversation, because obviously you're a West Ham fan. You've probably got thoughts on this game. I didn't see this game. I've seen the highlights.
Well, I was working during it.
Callum Wilson looked very bright.
Yeah, he loves scoring against West Ham as well. He's one of those players. Him and Romelu Lukaku. Every time they come up against West Ham, they turn into world beaters. Him and Jeff Hendrick. Two players that West Ham could have easily signed. Didn't sign and have come back to bite us. Jeff Hendrick with a goal and assist.
Rocket goal. Great, really good goal.
I mean, I won't talk about the defending from Aaron Cresswell because I will get extremely upset. and you don't want to hear me cry on the first episode of the Weekly Bosh, do you? No. Save it. Save it for 7 games time. Views, man. No, I'm not crying for views. We're not there yet.
We're not quite at James Charles level of
brilliant. Topical memes. You'll love to see it. Yeah.
Can't wait for the diss track battle between us and James Charles. It's gonna be an interesting week.
Gonna drop a 16 on him. Yeah.
Fire in the boot.
But yeah, no. Back on topic. Come on.
Back on.
Newcastle performed really well. No, not really well. They were better than West Ham.
Well enough to beat West Ham. And West Ham really, really look 6s and 7s.
They do.
Completely. I mean, there wasn't really anything.
No, it's absolute disarray.
Remotely positive to take from that performance at all.
No, it's absolute disarray. The morale just seems to be shot completely. Rightly or wrongly about the Mark Noble tweets, that's a whole other topic. Whether that had an effect on sort of the squad and with all the talks of takeovers at the moment, I'm on West Ham Twitter all day long, refreshing, trying to see if the American company, I think they're called CAA, they're trying to make a £700 million bid for the club, which would just end the misery of Gold, Sullivan and Brady. But again, another podcast for another day. We'll definitely be doing a podcast on ownership in UK clubs and Premier League clubs.
Definitely. I think that'll have to be a far more research job than we're currently taking on. So you might have to give me a week to prep for that one. That's fine.
Yeah, definitely.
The next game I think we should talk about is the other Monday night fixture, because I think the other ones that weekend are talking points: Tottenham, Arsenal, and Liverpool. Mm-hmm. So we'll talk about Chelsea.
Yeah, go on, take point, mate.
Because I feel like that is.
I did watch this actually as well. So
this was I did enjoy the game. I think obviously with Havertz and Werner coming in, they both looked quite bright. Werner especially looked really bright, and obviously won the penalty.
Yeah.
I think there was still evidently holes in our side.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you got to remember, Chelsea are currently working without Kovacic, Pulisic, Ziyech, Chilwell, and Thiago Silva. Yeah. So
a lot of players out there.
They're 5. Those are 5 big name players. That's 4 new signings and our Player of the Year from last season. So.
But the good thing about the game for you, I think, is that Timo Werner did not look out of place or
not at all.
It didn't look like he could do anything in a Premier League match, and obviously he got the assist through the penalty. Didn't score, but Brighton looked really. Brighton looked really bright.
Brighton looked really good. No,
They did.
I think Graham Potter's got on playing football, and we'll hear about my power rankings later. But I think we'll make a mention for Tariq Lamptey, just now, because
what player
looked like a real talent. Obviously set up their goal and looked really sharp throughout the game.
Yeah.
I think there was negatives to take for Chelsea. I think Loftus-Cheek.
Yeah, he had that one moment, didn't he, when you were breaking on the counter-attack and Timo Werner was absolutely, bombing through. And I looked at him, I thought, he looked sharp. And then Loftus-Cheek just misplaced a pass and, that sort of thing.
It was a 2-on-1. It was a 2-on-1. We broke, and
when you're missing a 2-on-1
there was one player between Loftus-Cheek and Werner.
Yeah.
And anyone else on that side, if that's Mason Mount, he's putting him in. But Loftus-Cheek, again, and all the pundits are saying it, Loftus-Cheek has had enough chances now to make a real impact in this side. He's 24.
It's difficult.
And he's been a breakthrough star he's been a breakthrough player for 3 years at Chelsea now.
Yeah, but obviously massive injury last year. What was it, ACL?
It was
or LCL?
It was an Achilles. We did it on the. It was the, I don't know. It was the back of his leg somewhere.
Yeah.
I think it was the back of his leg down. I think it was his Achilles.
Yeah,
or something
Achilles.
Like that.
Sounds
it was
like
Achilles
he was
tendon.
out for months and months, wasn't he?
He was out for about a year.
Yeah.
All in all, he came back after Hudson-Odoi, who'd done the same thing.
Yeah.
About 3 months prior to him.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, even then, he just started to break through. Of course, it's a difficult thing for him to come back from. But, he's been back now for about 6 months. And he looked very shaky at the back end of last season. Everyone was saying, well, he had that big injury. He's come back this year and he still looks shaky. And with a team that's just taken on Ziyech and Havertz, he's got to start taking his chances.
Try and get him back in if you've got players on the bench, especially ones like Hudson-Odoi, Hakim Ziyech, Ross Barkley even looked better than Loftus-Cheek did.
Cameron really changed the game. I think he asserted dominance that we needed.
Yeah. I really like Mason Mount and Kai Havertz together.
Yeah, so do I.
There's
a lot of energy there.
Though. It's so difficult because obviously when you've got Ziyech coming back and Kovacic coming back, where do you fit Mason Mount in that when you've already got N'Golo, Kante and Jorginho as well?
Well, I would actually, personally as a Chelsea fan, prefer to see Mount and Havertz than Kovacic and Havertz. I think that Mount gives us something a lot more attacking.
A lot of work to do for Kante,
a lot more dangerous and a lot more aggression. You can't. The thing is, with Kante, you can't take him out of the team because what he brings as a defensive midfielder is
but what I'm saying
unmatched.
Is that if you bring Mount and Havertz in, they're two very attack-minded players, and I think Kovacic does bring a bit of defensive steel if you need it.
Yeah, it's a balance. Yeah.
But yeah, I think overall he did a job. Chelsea did a job. Absolutely insane goal from Reece James. I jumped out my seat when it went in. If you haven't seen it, get on it because it was an absolute.
Go and watch it. I've got a video. Message me. I'll send you the video. But no, really, overall professional performance from Chelsea.
Definitely. But Brighton
minus another blip from our keeper. Brighton looked very sharp and potentially a mid-table team this year if they continue to perform.
Yeah, I predicted them to go down, but obviously we're going to do another table prediction after a couple of weeks and after the transfer window closes. We should definitely do that so we can.
We'll amend ours because I'm thinking about changing Tottenham and Liverpool as well.
Yeah,
based on signatures.
We'll talk about
today.
Tottenham
anyway.
Now, should we?
We'll talk about Tottenham now. Yeah, Tottenham now.
Everton 1-0.
Poor. Well, Everton. This is another one that I've got in my rankings later, and we'll talk about Everton in more depth later. But Ancelotti has really whipped this team into shape.
Definitely.
Everton looked really organised and structured. The Everton in the last couple of seasons under managers like Martinez have looked wobbly. Marco Silva have looked really kind of rickety and weak and vulnerable.
Aladici. He never looks weak. He's a quality manager. I'd have him at West Ham now. But
he's a quality manager.
But yeah,
apparently really good at betting as well. Sam Allardyce. That's a different thing. That's a different story.
Don't besmirch his name. The thing was that I noticed, or that I think, is that Everton just looked better than Spurs in every facet.
Definitely.
I didn't see Spurs outplaying them. And again, I didn't watch the whole match. minute by minute because I was at work. But yeah, I think Rodriguez, good debut. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, as we said in the preview, it's his season to kick on. He's sort of sticking around that 10 to 15 goals a season. If he pushes it to 20, then Everton are easily up there for me.
Well, yeah, and then you got to start thinking about the Euros next summer. If Calvert-Lewin gets 20 goals this season,
he's got to be in.
Kane gets 15, Vardy gets 15. If these if he ends up as the top scoring English striker this season, which is it's a massive if, but you wouldn't put it past him at this point, judging by his performance the other day. He's always causing trouble. Yeah. Alan, obviously, one man of the match and had a really good game. Decore looks a really good player. I think they've really strengthened.
It was a weekend for debuts, wasn't it?
It was massive. I mean,
apart from
a lot of debuts.
Who looked
awful. He was awful. I mean, he'd had absolutely, in my opinion, and I am a little bit harsh on Tottenham because of loyalties, but I did watch this game and see a Tottenham side that, in my opinion, had absolutely no fight in them towards the end of the game.
It was toothless, wasn't it? I think that's a good word to describe.
And everyone's raving about Harry Kane being this really good striker, but on Saturday, I mean, I don't think Harry Kane actually suits long ball football, because I don't think his first touch and his hold-up play is as good as people give him. Is actually as good as people give him credit for. He's a really good finisher. He's really good on the ball, but I think Mourinho's style of football doesn't quite suit him, and I think that is where they're going to improve bringing Bale in, because Bale is strong and he's a big presence, but he's got a better touch, and I think he's actually better on the ball than Harry Kane.
My question is, how does Bale fit into that side now? Because
the rumour is that Dele Alli's going.
Where?
Going out.
United?
Well, I mean,
or just in
who
the
knows?
sub-bench.
Apparently, some of Europe's clubs are looking at him. I haven't heard, any big names. I heard Atletico Madrid somewhere, but I mean,
they love a out of favour Spurs player, don't they?
They do. I mean, personally, I wouldn't have him at Chelsea. I wouldn't have him at Chelsea.
No, I wouldn't.
I don't think he's.
I don't think I'd have him.
I think Dele Alli is a one in 4 games player, personally.
Which isn't quite good enough.
No, not at all.
So where does he play still, though? That's my issue. You've obviously got Son Heung-min and Lucas Moura. Does he oust one of those two? Or does he play through the centre? Has he matured now?
Potentially. I'm sure Mourinho's got a plan for him.
Role. I'm sure Mourinho has. We'll talk about that later on when we talk about Tottenham's transfers recently.
We will.
Next one.
Next up is Fulham and Arsenal for another club that is very close to my heart as a Chelsea fan. Fulham. Are just down the road neighbours. Fulham looking like a championship team.
There's
little fish,
not
big pond.
Really much to say more than that about Fulham. I mean, obviously it's a little bit of a baptism of fire with an Arsenal squad that's feeling good just off a Community Shield win. Aubameyang signing a new contract, although it wasn't confirmed at the time.
It wasn't, but it was. I think at the time it was done, and they've And Arsenal look like they've got a real new set of a new lease of life. They've got a lot more confidence. They've got a lot more energy going into this season. I mean, the way they played at the weekend was really quite impressive.
Yeah.
Considering the fact that it was the first game of the season, they played with a real vigour. But I think that Fulham, the 2 goals that Arsenal scored, their first 2 goals, Fulham, I mean, the defending was catastrophic. It was awful. The first goal has gone through. The first goal's gone through 3 Fulham defenders and the keeper, and Lacazette's tapped it in from a yard out. And the second one, Gabriel has managed to find a header on the edge of their 6-yard box with no defenders within 3 yards.
Through the goalkeeper's legs as well.
Yeah, if you're going to continue to defend like that, you're going to be going down, and you're going to be going down very, very early.
We're seeing another Norwich situation here.
Potentially. Norwich, Derby County, these teams that I just don't think they've strengthened enough. And I know Rob, on our big preview, Roblin mentioned Areola, but I don't think that's the issue. I think Fulham all over the park.
We'll see, because they had that Marek Rodak, and he just looked so far out of his depth. Again, Michael Hector, another one out of his depth. Tim Ream, I think, looked good in points.
Yeah.
Again, and Joe Bryan, another good player. Niskins Cabano, I thought, was actually quite good, as well as Ivan Cavallero, but 3-0 loss, you can't really take a huge amount of positives from it. Good debut from Gabriel.
Yep, strong.
And a bit shaky at the start, let a couple of passes through, nearly gifted Fulham a goal, but and saved by Leno. But yeah, I think El Neni as well, like a new signing for that lot. I think it's only up, and they've got West Ham on the weekend.
I did see the words "the Egyptian Kante" being thrown around on Twitter.
We'll see. I don't know. We won't go that far.
We won't get too deep into that comparison, and we'll move on. The game of the weekend, without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
Bit of a historical one. Liverpool against Leeds. Liverpool saved by the referees again.
Bit of a tennis match as well. This one,
we
wasn't
won't
it?
go into that. It was back and forth.
Yeah.
Leeds, I thought we just talked about Fulham, who came up looking like a championship team. I think Leeds came up looking like a
established Premier League
team. Yeah, ready to really fight for their place. Like I said in the preview, you know, for Leeds have turned up with a proper manager, financial backing, with a real game plan, and I think, you know, they've even. I mean, Patrick Bamford, Click, and Harrison. None of those boys have been brought in. Those boys were with them last year. I think all three of them were with them the year before when they didn't get up.
Properly bedded in.
These are championship players. These are championship players, but they're they've performed at a Premier League level.
That's it. That's the difference. They're Bielsa players. And Bielsa has. I actually watched a sort of mini doc on Bielsa and his history. You know, with Newell's Old Boys and Argentina, Chile, and that sort of thing. And the thing he is prided on the most is using the players that he has and turning them into extremely much better players. And I think Jack Harrison looks an absolute player.
Definitely.
Van Dijk, mistake for the Bamford goal as well.
Yeah, I think the thing is that was made a lot of because people are ready to jump on Liverpool for any.
Of course.
But first game of the season, it happens.
And 3 points for Liverpool, you've got to say.
Yeah. You know. Mo Salah was superb again.
Yeah, 4 goals scored, 3 by Mo Salah.
As he very much usually is. Mo Salah was superb. Van Dijk I think Van Dijk, bar the mistake, had a good game.
Obviously scored a goal.
I think he looks solid. Bar that mistake, you know, which like I said, it happens. It's the first game of the season. You can't expect players to be completely on it straight away. But no, I think in the end, Liverpool did get the job done and have started their campaign the way they would have wanted to, but not without a lot of stress.
Yeah. Okay, should we move on to
our power
rankings?
So me and Jay have kind of talked about this before, and we've kind of come up with a couple of our own that we want to talk about, and then I think we've made a decision on one that we are. Oh no, we've got a couple that we're agreeing on for the successful kind of the ones that we think had a really good weekend, and then we've both got one that we want to talk about individually.
Yeah. We both said Arsenal.
Talk about Arsenal.
Yeah.
Arsenal. We want to talk about them at greater length because I think that they deserve some credit for how they've bounced back from last year.
Yeah.
You know, obviously finishing the season with. If we're being honest, a mixed running. Obviously won the FA Cup, but they also had games where they were poor. Brighton away was a bit of an embarrassing afternoon for them.
Definitely.
And you know, questions were being asked about whether Aubameyang was going to sign a new contract. Questions were being asked about how much they were going to add to their team.
Yeah.
There was a lot of jokes made about the fact that William was going there from Chelsea, the whole retirement home thing. But no,
he's just got 3 assists in his first game.
Just got 3 assists in his first game. His football seems to be really working, and Aubameyang is signing a new contract, a massive boost for them.
Aubameyang is a bagsman.
Yeah, and that I think they needed to tie him down because that would have finished their season if they hadn't have tied him down.
Yeah, because it's a story that stays in the media for the entire season, doesn't it?
100%. And that would be it. They'd be saying, well, they should have given Aubameyang whatever he wanted. They should have done this. They should have done that. It's always the shoulda, woulda, coulda argument with Arsenal. They should have done this.
Yeah.
It's always been, should they have got rid of just come in and instilled a real sense of
had a few technical problems there. I think you cut out a little bit.
Oh, really?
I don't know if it's your Wi-Fi.
We'll move on.
Okay.
I was talking about Arsenal.
Yeah.
It's whether Arsenal should have got rid of Emery, should have got rid of Wenger earlier, and now Arteta is really instilling some real structure and some real organisation into that side.
Organisation and also intensity. If you look at sort of Emery's team last year and some of the results that they got and some of the performances that they put out, if you compare that to the way that Arsenal played on the weekend against Fulham, it's miles apart in a good way. I think the pressing was fantastic from Arsenal. They really put Fulham under pressure, and they capitalised on their technical and tactical advantage over Fulham. I think the 5-back system is working really well for them. Worked well against Liverpool.
Yep.
They've definitely got the players for it, and it's good to see that they're still. Because a week ago they were sort of saying Rob Holding, Ainsley Maitland-Niles will be on the way out, but then I think Arteta sort of said, "Come on, prove yourself. Show me why you deserve to be in this team," and I think they did that. As I said, El Neni looked good. I want to see if he does well against better opposition. Ceballos looked amazing when he came on.
Definitely, that's another big one for them.
Yeah, Ceballos is an absolutely. I think he just links everything up for Arsenal, and the vision that he has. And when you have, and this is what I said in the preview as well for Arsenal, Aubameyang and Lacazette playing together is the formula. And I think Arteta has recognised that and gone, how can I have a system where it's well balanced and we can still get those two playing at the same time? Lacazette's an absolutely fantastic poacher, and his runs are really good, and his link-up play with Aubameyang is one of the reasons why they did so well. And obviously, what can you say about Aubameyang? The finish
that hasn't already been said.
The finish on his goal was sublime.
Definitely,
and
it was a great finish.
He does that. When he gets the ball in that position, you think, right, Aubameyang's probably got a very good chance to score. And it's scary.
I said he's a bagsman. He's reliable.
Yeah, absolutely.
The next one we wanted to talk about was Everton.
Yeah,
I probably talked for too long about Everton when we were doing the results, but they were really good. I think James Rodriguez, they've built a really strong foundation in their midfield, which is really important for them going forward.
They did exactly what they needed to do with that midfield. They've brought in Alan, they've brought in Decore to bring a bit of steel, because I think Everton's midfield of the past couple of years have sort of been a bit wishy-washy and not very, they can't stamp and take control of a game, whereas I think when you bring in players like Alan and Decore, and they look, again, miles apart from previous managers, as you said before, with Ancelotti and previous managers such as Marco Silva and that sort of thing. That's why I think Everton might be moving up in my predictions this year, but obviously it's a long season.
100%. The next one that I wanted to talk about, I think, because this is where we split, this is where we wanted to have a conversation about different things. So the next one I wanted to talk about was the future of the English right-back position, because there were two, in the Monday night game, there were two young right-backs that really, young English right-backs that really shone out. I mean, one of them's ex-Chelsea, one of them is Chelsea, so I might be biased. But Tariq Lamptey and Reece James both looked absolute. I mean, not even remotely out of their depth in a Premier League setting. I mean, Reece James has been largely accepted this year to be Chelsea's starting right back now.
Good.
Instead of Azpilicueta, which is completely, at 20 years old is a remarkable thing. But for him to be as good as he is now and as athletic, and from the goal, he scored and his overall performance as able as he is now, the sky's the limit with him. I think he's a different player to Lamptey. I think Reece James is a lot more explosive and a lot more based around kind of power. But no, Tariq Lamptey as well looked really good, really, really, dangerous going forward and really clever. And I think the intelligence of these two players is something that can't be overlooked when you're talking about their ability and when you're talking about what they're going to achieve in the game. Because if they're this, for them to both be starting Premier League fullbacks at their age is a real achievement, and for them to be the two kind of players that people want to talk about coming out of that game. The first game of the season where you've got Timo Werner, Kante, Havertz, players like this on the pitch, and everyone's talking about Tariq Lamptey and Reece James. I mean, that's a real achievement. So I just think that it can only be a good thing for English football to see two young right backs playing like that on the big stage.
Dead on. Again, Tariq Lamptey, absolute baller. You gotta love him.
Real baller.
Oh, I really wanted to. While you were talking, I was looking up that full right back 11 that I saw the other day, and I cannot find it anywhere for the life of me.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, Reece James won Wigan's best player of the season because he played when he was playing at Wigan. He was playing centre mid, centre defensive mid, right mid. So he's a very versatile player. But you've got a power ranking you want to talk about. You've got a positive you want to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. Newcastle's new signings.
Yeah,
I think it's a real credit to this is going to annoy
Mike Ashley.
To Mike Ashley for with what happened in the summer with the Saudi owners and looking like it was going to go through and then it falling through, and now he's suing the league. But in the all in the while, he's gone out, signed Ryan Fraser, Callum Wilson, and Jeff Hendrick, and I sort of scoffed at Jeff Hendrick because I didn't actually know if he was any good or not, and I thought, oh, come on, typical Newcastle. And he played against West Ham. I was like, bloody hell, he's actually good. I was sort of eating my words a little bit. And if he can continue that sort of form, then he's going to be a really, really good player for them. And I think you only improve the squad when you bring in a player like Ryan Fraser. He's got to replicate the form of what he did for Bournemouth a couple of seasons ago. And I think he will, especially with that link up with Callum Wilson, which has worked so well for Bournemouth in previous years. Definitely. So I think it's exciting for Newcastle, and their new signings have hit the ground running against West Ham. Admittedly, not a very high confidence West Ham team, but nonetheless.
Well, no, but you got to win, and I think that the performance from Wilson was really positive, and Hendrick scored a good goal, so that's all you can.
So say. Well done to Newcastle.
So we'll move on now to the bad side of the weekend.
The low scorers on our power rankings.
The low scorers. I believe we've both got Fulham. As one. A really negative start for them. I remember watching the game because obviously it was the first game of the weekend, and I've never seen such a difference in attitudes and a difference actually in body language and
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. They just look
class.
Yeah.
A difference in class between two sides. Arsenal looked like a well-established top 4 Premier League football team, and Fulham looked like a very little fish in a very big pond.
It'll be interesting to see how Fulham bounce back from this. Yeah. I think you've got to look at their next fixtures, their next couple, and think, I think, as I said before, it's a baptism of fire for Fulham playing Arsenal. But yeah, we'll see how they do against other opposition. Is it Leeds? Yeah.
Fulham got Leeds this weekend, away. So that'll be a very good gauge. Will it be a good gauge of actually where Fulham are? Because these are the guys that have come up with them. Yeah. So,
and then they've got Villa, and then Wolves. So
you'd argue that for a team that's just been promoted, beating the teams that have just been promoted with them is absolutely paramount if you want to stay up.
Because it's always been a 6-pointer, those newly promoted teams playing against each other, obviously.
Based on the performances this weekend, you can't see Fulham getting anything other than a battering off Leeds.
Yeah, but they know how Leeds play. They've played them a couple of times last season, a couple of times the season before that. So we will see whether Scott Parker's got the tactical nous to sort of outfox Marcelo Bielsa, which is difficult to do, as Jurgen Klopp found out the other day. Right, next one. What have we got?
I think this is where we disagree. I've got Kepa, and I want to talk about Kepa, not at great length, because there's not much that is to be said about our current keeper, apart from the fact, I think if you go and watch, it was Jamie Carragher's analysis of Chelsea, and he said that we won't win anything until we get a really decent keeper in, and I think that was a testament to that at the weekend. And I mean, Brighton scored a goal that, again, it's a shot from outside the area that should, if you're a Premier League top level Premier League keeper, if you're a top level Premier League keeper, you have to be saving it. You have to be.
Yeah,
and it's one too many occasions for Kepa now where he's you could have chalked last season down to a bad year, but in first game of this season, it's the same problem again.
Yeah,
and
if it's going to be consistently this bad, when does Frank say that's enough? We're playing Caballero, and then we're going to go out in January and
the rumours are that we're looking at Edouard Mendy from Rennes, and he's kind of, from what I've seen of him, he's kind of the complete opposite to Kepa. He's tall, very commanding in his box.
I've heard he's got big hands.
Very confident. He's got big hands, and I think he's actually up at about 6'6", 6'7", whereas Kepa's 6'2".
Yeah.
So he's got about 6 inches on Kepa as well. 6 inches on Kepa. So
you know what they say about men with big hands. Big gloves.
Yeah. We don't need to go into that. I mean, look, Jay, whatever you do with your spare time, whatever your Google search is the same, we don't need to...
Don't be rude.
To delve too deep into that. No, I'm not being rude. No, but yeah, my only point is with Kepa is I think that he has completely not overstepped the line, but he's got to a point now where it's now a very, very big issue for Chelsea before the end of the window to get him replaced, because his confidence is at a point where I don't think it's salvageable unless he spends time outside of the team rebuilding himself.
Well, I think
if he keeps playing these games and letting these goals in, I mean, it's just another nothing shot from the edge of the area that's gone in. And you're watching it as a Chelsea fan, you're thinking, Jesus,
that loses games.
Played really well, and then suddenly Brighton have pulled a goal out of absolutely nothing and come back. And I mean, if Lewis Dunk's header goes in, we could have lost that game.
Absolutely, and that was an absolute sitter. And then you think as well, one misplaced pass from Brighton was a result of the penalty. Yeah. You think, if they didn't misplace that pass, and they looked solid as they did, and then Trossard scores that goal, it's a completely different complexion to the game. And
mistakes like that lose you games in this league, and the level that we're playing at now with Liverpool and City, you can't lose games because of stupid stuff like that.
And as much as Reece James's goal was fantastic, players taking shots like that goes in 1 in 25 times, even less than that. The only goal I can sort of think that parallels it was Vincent Kompany's goal against Leicester in City's in his last season at City. That's what I've got to say.
So I think what we'll do is, if you got another one to say,
I've got one more,
because I feel like with the power rankings, we should probably do less for the bad ones.
We'll do one more
to spare some blushes.
And it's Man United transfers. Their window so far, I think it's getting to a point now. It's only a couple of weeks left in the transfer window. The negotiations are looking stale with Sancho, and they've obviously Tottenham. The last couple of days have been insane with, they're set that signing Sergio Reguilon and signing Bale, and there's stories coming out saying that Sergio Reguilon rejected United. I don't think that's technically true, because I think United rejected Real Madrid, saying I think they wanted a buyback. Yeah. And I think Man United's pride is too big to sort of say, we'll give you a buyback clause.
Yeah, because if Reguilon has 2 world-class seasons, then Real Madrid come back in. I think Spurs are the kind of club that can then say, right, fine, we've had 2 good years out of him, pay the money, we'll just sell him back to them. But like you said, Man United's pride is thus. And, the list of players that they've been linked with this window is endless. Yeah.
And not a lot to show for it.
No, and however
Hello?
Yeah, I mean, the issues that Man United have right now, I think that there's an image problem with transfers because of how long the Jadon Sancho thing went on.
Yeah.
You know, that was I mean, that,
and it still might not be over.
Redefined.
That saga.
No, it still might not be over, but it redefined the kind of. I mean, there was Fabrizio Romano. Here we go'd it, and then it didn't happen. And then it was going to happen, and then it didn't happen again. And then he was having a medical, but then that fell through. And I mean,
it's not an attractive.
Someone said the other day.
You're gone.
No, someone said the other day about the difference in transfer dealings from other big clubs. Chelsea's have been. I mean, Werner happened on the day. It came out. I remember there was 2 days. It came out one evening that we had made a move. Then the next evening we'd agreed a deal. It was all going to be signed after Leipzig finished their season. Ziyech happened. I remember when Ziyech happened, we were at training, and it was literally an afternoon. It came up on Twitter that we'd signed Ziyech. Whereas Manchester United, every time they seem to make one of these big signings, it becomes massive news instantly.
Yeah.
You know, and then everyone's got to sit. And, you know, it worries clubs because the press get involved and fans get involved, and it basically clogs the whole system up because a player suddenly has to think about dodging press and dodging interviews as well as just trying to think about their future.
Yeah. No, I think you're dead on. I think to me, Manchester United, of course, it's Manchester United. Any player in the world worth their salt wants to go to Manchester United. But at the moment, it's not. Is it the most attractive option in the Premier League? Not by a long way.
Not by a long way.
I think there's. Because you've got the manager and everyone has differing opinions on Ole.
Mm.
And it's so difficult with Man United and their position at the moment. But they've got to rely on the fact that they're fucking Manchester United. Like, they've got to go out there and try and sign the best players. But we'll see.
The word I would use for United at the moment is unconvincing.
Yeah.
There's definitely an air around the club that's very much of the ilk we're not sure. You know, no one's sure that where United are going to finish this year.
Oh, and we said this in the preview as well. We said that their attack is fantastic, top class, one of the best in the world.
Mm.
It's the defence, it's so unconvincing.
I was going to say, you look at what's happened to Maguire, their club captain.
Yeah.
Who's been I mean, whatever's happened to him in Greece is a story for a whole different podcast. We don't know the facts. I'm not going to speculate because some of the stuff that's been said is not stuff you should speculate on. You know, we'll leave that where it is. But for him to even be in that position where he's had to go to court, you know, whatever's been said, you know, but it definitely that has an effect on the club. When their captain's involved in a court case in Greece.
Can you imagine that under a Fergie era?
Well, I don't think Maguire would have been able to come back.
No.
Under an Alex Ferguson. Under Alex Ferguson, anything like that, I don't think Maguire would have been able to come back. Jesse Lingard would never have made the first team under Sir Alex Ferguson.
No.
You know, all the antics that are going on at United with Paul Pogba dabbing... to Cardiff, you know, all that. I mean, there's a lack of discipline at that club and there's a lack of real drive and intensity, and they don't strike me as this terrifying machine that they used to be when Alex Ferguson was in charge.
Yeah.
They look very ordinary suddenly, Manchester United. And if I was a young player, I'm looking at Havertz going to Chelsea, I'm looking at Thiago going to Liverpool, Gabriel and Willian and Ceballos going to Arsenal, Gareth Bale and Reguilon going to Tottenham.
Yeah.
And you look at United, they've signed Van der Beek, but I mean, very unconvincing transfer business for a very unconvincing club and potentially a very difficult season for them based off what they're doing at the moment.
No, dead on. Right, we've finished that. Should we go on to a quick preview this weekend's matches because we've gone on 45 minutes now.
Right, so I reckon we just spend like a minute on each game. We'll just go through it very, very quickly. Talk about what we think is going to happen, what our predictions are, and then we'll close up.
All right, first one: Everton, West Brom.
Ooh, I I mean, a comfortable win for Everton is what you'd suggest it's going to be
based off week 1 performances.
That's the thing. We're going to base these. We're going to base these, predictions off how they performed at the weekend. I don't think we're going to be predicting any massive shocks here.
I'm still going to say sort of 2-0. I don't think they'll quite, because I think West Brom.
I don't think it'll be a battering.
No, I think
West Brom will do a job. I'm going to go with 2-0 to Everton. I think that's a good shout.
Yeah, I'm going to go 2-1 actually, because I think West Brom might score. Leeds Fulham. One we just talked about before, about Fulham trying to bounce back.
I can see Fulham being on the end of a drumming here.
Really? How big?
Well, I think the lowest. I think Leeds are. If I was a Leeds player right now, I'd be taking a lot of positives out of the game at Liverpool. A lot of positives.
Yeah.
I'd be feeling on top of the world, knowing that you took the champions to the 88th minute.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And Fulham have just come off the back of being absolutely taken apart at home.
And they're going away to Ellen Road as well.
They're going away to.
It's different without the crowds, but yeah,
it's still Ellen Road.
Yeah.
And it's in Leeds, so that's it's not a nice place to go anyway.
Our little southern boys going, bloody Leeds.
Well, Fulham are from Kensington. Yeah. Fulham from Kensington, not West London's like the nicest area, and they're going up to Leeds. I wouldn't want to go to Leeds. But anyway, we digress.
United.
No, I can see this being 4-1, 3-1, 4-1 to Leeds.
I don't think Fulham will score again. I'm going to say 4-0 to Leeds. This might change before the weekend.
Yeah.
But yeah, Man United, Crystal Palace. I don't think Crystal Palace were convincing enough in that 1-0. I mean, they won the game and they looked defensively all right. But I think when you go up, it was a very much a makeshift defence, and I don't know whether they've got the players back now. But they started with Shiku Kiarte at centre-back. And I think when you go up against United, with the attack that they have, I think it's just going to overpower them.
Definitely.
I think Tyreek Mitchell looks like a bit of a player for them. Another good, promising English right back. I think he's English. I'm not sure. And yeah. But yeah, I think United have this.
1-0.
1-0. I'm saying 3-1.
All right.
Bruno Fernandes penalty. Martial
Obviously,
on the floor. VAR consulted.
I reckon Martial's just going to run up. Crystal Palace will have a free kick on the edge of the box. Martial will sprint to the other end of the pitch and fall over. And John Moss will put his finger to his ear and jog over to the screen. Blows a whistle. The arm comes out.
Yeah. Who's reffing this game? I want to see this.
Let me check. Because I'm on the beat. I don't know if you can see it yet.
No,
they probably keep it under lock and key with United. As to avoid any potential football Twitter.
All right, I'll talk about the next one because it's West Ham, Arsenal. West Ham. Arsenal at home at the Emirates. West Ham away.
It's Martin Atkinson is refereeing. So, a good referee.
Yeah.
It's not Mike Dean.
No.
It's not Mike Dean. That's a positive.
There we go.
As it's not Mike Dean.
He's not going to make it all about
Arsenal,
himself.
West Ham.
No. Yeah, Arsenal West Ham. I think Arsenal will be looking for a misery compiler for the West Ham boys. I
remember a few years ago when they did you 5-1.
That wasn't a fun
at your
night.
ground, and Sanchez did a step over and then chipped your keeper. Are we going to see those kind of scenes again for West Ham?
Well, no, because Sanchez doesn't play for Arsenal anymore.
Well, Lambert did the funny.
I did a funny. Hey, did a funny.
He's clawing back some hilarity from the crumbling ruin that is West Ham United's transfer business.
I want to talk about it sharp. We played against Charlton in midweek and was a convincing 3-0 win. Obviously, Charlton, League One side, but I'm clutching at fucking straws here.
I'll take what you get.
I think we can't start Cresswell. His performance against Newcastle was beyond abysmal.
Who do you start?
Masuaku, 100%.
Yeah.
I want to see a 5-back, if I'm being completely honest, but that won't happen because just Moyes things. I think we need to start Lanzini or Anderson in a number 10 role, or Fornals in a number 10 role, because I don't think they have the physicality for wingers. I don't think any of them do. That Moyes puts them out on the left and the right. Those three players, Lanzini, Anderson and Fornals, and I think they do much better going through the middle and linking up. I think Lanzini, for years, when Lanzini was at the peak of his powers for West Ham last season, I think last season at Berlin, he was that link between the strikers and the midfield. And I think that's where he thrives, but he's suddenly out on the left and he's recovering from an injury. I think as well we need to play Snodgrass. His delivery is unparalleled in the club. And we need to get Declan Rice playing a few games, get him ready for the Chelsea games in a couple of weeks.
What, when he's playing against you?
Yeah, exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. It's warming up for us.
Yeah, because that's going to happen. It's pretty much it genuinely is pretty much confirmed. Obviously not at this point.
Anyway, let's not reduce the man to tears live on YouTube.
Yeah, and I think they need to start Haller and Antonio. Sorry, one last bit. They need to start those two up front, because I think we played our best games last season with those two. I think you've got the power. The power of those two is insane.
Right. And what have you got? Score prediction?
Yeah, saying that, 4-1 Arsenal.
I'm gonna go with 3-0 Arsenal.
Okay.
I don't think you'll score.
Okay.
Southampton Spurs.
I see this being a draw.
7-0.
7-0 Southampton.
Yeah.
And unbiased.
I see Danny Ings is gonna get 6. No. I can see. I honestly can see Tottenham nicking a 1-0 away win and just scurrying back to White Hart Lane with the tails between their legs.
Yeah, I see this being a draw. I think if Ings gets going,
don't tempt me with a good time.
Don't be silly.
No, yeah. If you can see it, I mean, it is definitely not one you look at for Tottenham and go, yeah, they'll win that.
Mm.
It's a maybe all could go either way game. And
yeah, I'd like to see them come out of the blocks early. That's what Mourinho is going to be looking for, is a response to the Everton defeat. But
of course, yeah.
I
mean, they're not going to have either. Obviously, they won't have either Reguilon or Bale in the squad. They'll probably be present, but they won't have either of them in the squad. So, no, I think we'll look forward to that. I've got Tottenham kind of basically nicking a 1-0 away win and just.
I'm going to say 2-2.
Running away. Ooh, bold.
I like some goals in that match, please.
Next one.
Newcastle Brighton.
Two of our power players. Two of the teams we were impressed with this weekend. Yeah. I actually fancy Brighton to get away with a win here.
I do. Because I think Brighton played well against a good Chelsea team, whereas Newcastle played well against a shit West Ham team.
Yeah, I think Brighton deserve a result. And I know that's not the way Premier League football works, but if they play the way they did against us, against Newcastle, they'll get a result. Yeah. Definitely.
But yeah, Newcastle need to build on this win against West Ham, and they need to again get Callum Wilson, because if Brighton keep Callum Wilson quiet, they don't have a huge amount of options.
Yeah, well, this is a big momentum game, both teams. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So what are you saying?
2-0 Brighton.
I'm going to say 2-1 Brighton. Right, the big
Next one
is Chelsea-Liverpool.
The big one. Oh, see, I'm almost scared to even make a prediction. Is
it season defining, Sam?
I think it is definitely for both teams. It's season defining, but I don't want to use this excuse again. But we will be using the same players as we were on Monday.
Yeah.
Bar the fact that Kovacic is back.
Yeah. Obviously, Thiago won't be playing for Liverpool. We
Thiago won't be playing for Liverpool.
That it's obviously not confirmed yet, but is it confirmed or is it not?
It's pretty much. I mean, Hansi Flick came out today and said that Thiago would say goodbye to the whole Bayern Munich squad this afternoon.
So it's done, but obviously he won't be in the side.
It's happening. No, Thiago Silva had his first day of training on on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So it's unlikely he'll play. Pulisic, I think, is still out with the knock he picked up in the final, and Ziyech and Chilwell are still out with knocks. Okay. But no, I think it's definitely a season-defining game in a sense. I think Liverpool are going in with a stronger squad, but there's a story definitely to be written about the fact that Werner could turn up and Liverpool. He was very with him before he was linked with us. It looked as though it was going to be a done deal. There was Werner video on YouTube from that I did take as a personal win for myself.
1-0. You are cutting out whether he can. I don't know if he can coming through, but yeah.
Whether he can turn up and score some goals at the weekend, it remains to be seen. I can see us actually getting a draw, which I'd be fine with.
Yeah, it'll be the interesting battle is the Werner Van Dijk battle. I think that's key. I think if you want to win, you've got to really put pressure on Liverpool, like Leeds did, and like Arsenal did in the Community Shield. And you've got to play those nice little neat passes, and you can't make mistakes. Because again, this is what Liverpool do so well. They punish the mistakes so well.
Yeah.
Right. Prediction?
2-2.
I was actually going to say something similar. I'm going to go 1-1. Because I think it'll be a bit cagey because of the magnitude of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Leicester Burnley. No, I'm joking. Yeah. No, it is a bit of a dull.
Well, what about the next one after that, Christ? Aston Villa, Sheffield.
The next one after that's a very dull affair. That's a very northern affair. Leicester Burnley, I can see being a Leicester 1-0. There's not really much to be said on it. Leicester were not underwhelming last weekend. They didn't do anything special. Burnley. I don't know. Burnley.
I think it'll. Yeah, I think Leicester will score. I think Burnley will score. I'm gonna go 2-1 Leicester.
Yeah, I'd say. Yeah.
Or a draw.
I will jump on that with you. I'll jump on that with you.
I don't see Burnley winning that one, but we don't know. Right, as we just mentioned, Aston Villa, Sheffield. Obviously, Aston Villa's first game of the season. Sheffield played a game already and lost pretty handedly to one of the other Birmingham sides. So it'll be interesting to see how they bounce back. Is this second season syndrome for Sheffield, or will they bounce back?
I mean, is it second season syndrome for Aston Villa?
Yeah, obviously, I think they've made some quality signings.
I've got them to go down in 19th.
But penned Jack Grealish down, 5-year contract, and they've just signed Emiliano Martinez, who is an absolutely quality keeper. And I think when you have a keeper like that, I think Chelsea should have gone for him.
Maybe.
I think when you have a keeper like that in a relegation battle, he wins your games, he wins your points, and I see Aston Villa doing all right. I fancy them. I'm going to go bold. I'm going to say an Aston Villa win, and Alex won't like me for this.
No, I'm going to jump on it with you, and I think it'll be 2-0. And I think Grealish is going to repay their faith for the contract, and I can see him getting a goal.
Yeah, sorry, Alex.
I'm not apologising to him.
No, I didn't figure you would.
Anyway, next is Wolves against Man City.
Yeah, Wolves City.
Final game, final event of the pod.
Interesting one, that.
Well, yeah, because Wolves obviously did the double over them last year.
Yeah.
Wolves obviously beat them twice last season. They do like playing them. I think their style of football suits playing Man City.
Has Nuno got a number over
City's first game of the season. And this will be City's first game of the season because obviously they didn't play last week because of the extensions they got because of their performance in the Champions League. So this is their cup final, not their cup final, their first game. Wolves is a big game for City. Wolves away is
it will be a statement.
Chelsea have won their first game.
If
Chelsea have won their first game, Liverpool have won their first game. If they're going to want to be able to say, right, we're here to keep up, they've got to beat this Wolves side now.
Yeah, I think you're dead on.
I can see him doing it. I can see him winning the game. City,
I think Guardiola,
seem to be always really dangerous.
Yeah, I think Guardiola will look at last season's games against Wolves and go and absolutely obsess over them and go, right, what can I do? What players can I put out that is going to hurt Wolves? Because we've seen that Wolves aren't, they're breakable, but it's difficult to break. But City have the players to break them. So yeah, again, statement of intent if City go out and win that game handedly, because that's a real statement. Yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, great. Right, well, we've just hit an hour.
Right.
That was double the time that we wanted to spend, but, it just shows how much... Double the fun. Just shows how much we've got to talk about, and we'll be doing this most weeks, I hope.
Yeah, I've basically decided I don't want to get an education this year, so I'm going to be here every week.
Yeah, and I'm done with education. So
wonderful. It's good that we're so committed to our lives, and
it's fantastic, anyway, isn't it?
We're not going to get a job. We're going to sit in a shed and talk about football.
Yeah, sounds better.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, love it.
So yeah, we'll try and get these up every week. We want to make this a kind of standalone thing. The Mighty Bosh.
The Mighty Bosh. We've got Noel Fielding again. We were doing this.
No, it's not. It's the pre-show. The massive
the weekly Bosh. You Dinlow.
Weekly Bosh. Do you know what? No, I'll get there. You got to understand. I'm definitely the weaker link in this setup, but it's fine because I bring the banter.
No, you're the wild card, I think. If we're talking about,
That's how I'd characterise myself, wild card.
Have you got to that... Sorry, I want to really quickly say this. Have you got to that episode of Always Sunny yet? Where they do like a A-team sort of thing, and Charlie jumps out the back of the car.
Yeah.
And he goes, wild card, baby!
Yeah.
That's got so much Sam Davis energy. But yeah.
I have been compared to that character before. Yeah.
But yeah. Guys, comment down below what you think of today's podcast, anything that we've said, anything that you think is going to happen this weekend. We'll obviously be posting our daily predictions over the weekend, Saturday, Sunday and Monday, the big game of the day and what we think it's going to go on. So get involved with that. Leave some love on it if you liked it, like it, and give it a subscribe. Follow us on the socials; they'll be in the description as well. But yeah, Sam, anything?
See you boys later. I hope that you enjoy your weekend and that Father Christmas brings you everything you want. And I'll catch you in a bizzle.
Yeah, see you later, boys. Bye.